Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Bonkekook here, aka the Lonely Achievement God, and today I'm going to be showing you what you do when your video screws up. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's true. The epilogue portion of our Zen playthrough had a lot of video issues, so I am re-recording the epilogue. However, as you will see when we jump back in here, it's a bit of a mess. If you were with us for the end of the playthrough and you are continuing the playlist into this episode, you're gonna wonder what the heck happened in here. Unfortunately, when I went ahead thinking that my video had recorded properly and started recording other videos using the epilogue to prove them. There's a couple videos like the moving of heavier stacks of blocks, and obviously the epilogue video, of course, that used this warehouse for its recording. Unfortunately, that means a lot of what I did was lost and can't be recaptured. This entire orange, red, white quadrant, well, this front half got squashed down. So a lot of the blocks have been mashed together, and so it's going to be a little more difficult to visualize what you're supposed to do, but I am going to try to cover everything here just so you guys have an idea of what the information I was trying to get to you from the first time I recorded this. This will be significantly shorter. I'm not going to be in the other one, I literally went throughout the warehouse, sorting the blocks, getting them into groups, stuff like that. And there's no point in doing that here. I already have that. I already have the groupings set up at the bottom of the warehouse for the most part. So we're just going to go through here real quick and cover the stuff that I had covered to begin with. You might get yelled at when you do this if you do this for your playthrough. Your boss does not appreciate you moving the blocks around. He may yell at me now, he may not, but I mean, he fired me and then let me back into his warehouse. Seems like that's a big mistake on his part. But anyways, first thing I wanted to show you is the time lapse. The time lapse we purchased during our playthrough, and it is not so much useful, but it's a really cool idea. Very useful for those of you who don't want to listen to my voice for 6.5 hours as we go through the Zen playthrough. You can just look at the time lapse, which I do have a separate video showing just the time lapse, but we're going to go ahead and start this. I'm not going to go into too much detail because if you're viewing this in this epilogue video, then you probably already have a good idea of how I sorted the warehouse. But as you can see, it's a top-down view of the entire warehouse, and it's sped up, I don't know, maybe like 10 to 15 times faster than how I was moving. I tried to slow it down in YouTube to 0.25 times, and it was still a little too fast to follow, so I'm thinking it's probably between 10 and 15 times speed, but I don't know for sure. It's very tranquil and satisfying to just watch the blocks, move back and forth. I think this is like 2 to 3 minutes long, but here was the big remodel into our quadrants. And every once in a while, Wilmot pauses, and that's probably either a beginning or end to a video, or in between videos when I went to go get food. I recorded quite a few of these back to back, so what might only be like 2 seconds on here could be like 10, 20 minutes. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure what the speed difference is. So yeah, I apologize, guys. I was pretty proud of the first video recording, and I thought it went well, and unfortunately it's all lost. So I'm just trying to emulate bits and pieces of what I did for you. Getting towards the Probably like the 5th year here. But man, this is such a cool tool to add in. I just wish it wasn't locked behind the upgrade system. Granted, the game isn't very difficult, so unlocking the upgrade isn't probably won't even become an issue for anyone, but it's still something that should be available no matter how well you do. In my opinion, anyways. Obviously, I'm not the developer. Almost done here. Sorry. Trying to record and I just got bombarded with emails. Okay, so we're going to back out of there. The next thing we're going to look at is the manifest over here. As I said during the game, not very useful during the playthrough, although of the the items near the end of the game, this is probably the most useful to you, as you can go back in and see what items you have. You can actually sort them. So you could put all the colors together or whatever you wanted to do. I tried to do that. You'll notice on my website that if you check the achievement list that has all the groupings and the icons for what items go in each group, that they are horribly cut out of whatever the source material was and grouped together. And I am proud to say that that is my work. I took screenshots of all of those from this menu here. At the end of every playthrough I did, I took screenshots, I believe, at both of these sizes. And then when I was going through and doing all my guide making, I used, I don't know what, maybe paint to just cut the icons out and group them all together. So I am proud to say that all of the icons on that website guide are hand cut from my own screenshots. There is no stealing anyone else's work in that, as you can tell if you go look at how poorly they are cut. But you can also, there's a couple of other things you can do with this. You can hide the missing, although that doesn't make any difference right now because we have all 200 items. You can make them go all floaty. Cover your ears here for a second. This is pretty loud. Not sure why that's so terrible, but wanted to warn you this time because I remember I didn't do it in the original recording. And this shows you how many of each item you have in the warehouse. I'm not sure if there's a way to scroll this. You can do that, but it's weird. Okay, so that's kind of useless, but that's all you can do with the manifest. It is pretty, again, a useful thing to have, but not so much useful for going through the game. What else do we got? We got Borky over here, so I decided to try to test Borky, and I don't know if he's disabled in the end game or what, but he doesn't do anything. So I don't know if I was going to try to show off how useless he is, and clearly it worked because he does nothing, but I don't know if that's by design. Maybe he doesn't work at the end game. He only functions during the game. I don't know. Unfortunately, I cannot show you. What else do we got here? On this far right wall here is the map. Again, not very useful, as I said during gameplay. If you have to look at the map during the phases to know where your items are, you're probably struggling quite a bit. The idea of the game is to memorize where your items are so you can get there quickly, and you're not going to have time to go visit the map during the game. But at the end of the game, it's a pretty handy tool, although it's a mess now. It's a pretty handy tool to show off sorting methods and stuff like that, although at this point, again, it's a jumbled mess, so it doesn't help anyone really. But on the left side is still fairly intact, so it shows off the sorting methods fairly well. As you can see, though, although it's harder to tell now, if we had gone any further, like if there were, say, another year of the game, we would have been in trouble. Like, we wouldn't have had enough room to keep going. So I feel like the game is pretty well optimized in that regard. That 200 is a pretty good endpoint, because any more than that, you're going to be running into trouble. So, I feel that speaks to how well designed the game is as a whole. What else we got here? Okay, so after this, I started going through all of these and pulling out the groupings items. Now, obviously, I'm not going to do that now because everything is a jumbled mess. What ended up happening is we only got 4 entire groupings out of the entire playthrough, which is crazy to me. So if you look down here at the bottom, I got most of them still in the middle. There are a few random tiles that I don't have anymore. There was an apple tile and a pattern tile. Oh, there's the pattern. The cheese tile, the cryptozoology tile there, 2 of the hats. Well, there's the apple too. But the ones we did get are the sports packet grouping here. The cricket wickets are also involved in the English collection, which we also got that grouping. The music grouping, as you can see, we got 9 of the grouping tiles. The hardware grouping, we got every single grouping or tile for that group, all 17 of them. And then we got 3 of the astronomy and 2 of the haberdashery, and there might be 1 or 2 more, but they're not really important. We couldn't get them into groups. But what you can do then, if you can either do this throughout the game and use your stock takes for it, but I just put it at the end so I could do this for you, and unfortunately I lost the original footage of me doing that. But you just run up and down the walkways. If I need a toaster, grab the toaster, grab the binoculars, move them to the front, put them all together, and now he's upset. It's your own fault for letting the guy you fired back into your warehouse, okay? Maybe Borky should be cleaning this up. But that's all you do. Just run around, grab 2 or 3 items, bring them back to the middle, keep doing that, and then once you have them all in the middle, you can sort them in their groups along the walkway. Your boss doesn't bother you after yelling at you once, so that it's not an inconvenience or any trouble beyond that. Anything else? I guess real quick, since we're on that topic, the hardware grouping here and the music grouping, we got 26 of our 200 tiles are just from those 2 groupings. And I want to use that to make a point, because when I talk about re-rolling deliveries and stuff like that, or just the deliveries in general, explaining how the game chooses to deliver the tiles is kind of a topic that I don't understand, but I've been trying to piece together as I played through the game. If the game is drawing from all 500 tiles, every single delivery, there is no way, at an equal amount, excuse me, if it's drawing from all 500 tiles equally, there is no way that we should have 26 of our 200 items out of the same grouping. That's just not likely to happen. I'm not saying it's not possible, it clearly is, but if you combined this with the knowledge of re-rolling deliveries where the items repeat, then it becomes clear that the game is not drawing from all 500 items every time you have a delivery phase or delivery come in. That's why the groupings are important, because the game weights the deliveries, I believe, based off the groupings you already have in the warehouse. This comes in handy to know when you are trying to get, especially when you are trying to get your finches or bananas or whatever your last grouping is, because say we were going through the game, if we don't have a finch or a banana yet, you don't want to start re-rolling your deliveries. At that point, as far as we know anyways, there is no priority forcing the game to give us banana or finch in the next roll. The game is going to prioritize the groupings we already have in the warehouse. So you could try re-rolling for bananas or finches and go 50 times without getting one if you don't already have one in your warehouse. That's why in most of these videos, whenever I bring it up, I say you want to wait until the first tile shows up before you start re-rolling, because it's a waste of time otherwise. We don't know enough about how the game decides what tiles are coming next for me to recommend sitting there and re-rolling the first delivery in the second year to get your finches or bananas. They might not have any chance to spawn. They might be the lowest weighted item in the game, and you could be sitting there for 2 hours and not get one. I don't know. That's why I recommend using the pause glitch if it's still available, because it'll get you through the game much quicker. But even if the pause glitch isn't there, I recommend using the expert mode, which I have made a video of as well, to get through the game until the first tile shows up, and then re-roll to guarantee you get the rest of them. There's just too much unknown about the percentages for the deliveries to recommend doing it right off the bat. And for the other 20 groups, you can just restart the game until you get the items right away and go from there. I made a video about that too. I'll link to it. I have a ton of different videos and strategies detailing different things like that I've discovered throughout my time with the game. So, but that'll wrap up the epilogue for our Zen playthrough. I apologize. This is a little different of a pace than I wanted. We're about 10 minutes shorter than the other video was because I'm a couple weeks removed from my first recording of the Zen playthrough, and so with all the chaos that has happened in here, it's just not going to probably sound as smooth as the first version did, and there's nothing I can do but apologize and hope that the information I presented is still good enough for you. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to shoot me a message. I will be happy to try to answer them. If not, I will see you guys in the next videos.